I had RSD Max on here one time, and I talked about the things that I thought pickup, because that's the original, manifestation of this, or one of the original manifestations of this
Pickup
whole,
artistry. Yeah.
yeah, pickup artistry. And I feel like the three things that they got wrong is, one, like logistically, they were disastrous. Like they never explained get out of your mom's basement. They try to explain here's how to trick a woman to coming in your mom's basement. And the other thing I think that they completely missed the boat on was social media. And I was curious because you've had some of your guys on there talking about Tinder photos and their social
Hmm.
media and stuff like that, and not having. I loved the video you had. I forgot what the two gentlemen's name were, but they were on the Zoom call, and they were
Hmm.
talking about the guy, with the blurry photo with his dog, and the guy. Remember the guy with the chainsaw, and like
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all these weird photos. And I like to say, like, dude, you look like a child molester. You look like you understand. An attractive woman in general thinks most men are beta, and now you're coming here with a child molester haircut, like looking like you're going to human traffic her, and you're wondering why she doesn't swipe right, or you're wondering why she doesn't like your Instagram. Can you talk about
Yeah.
how so many men have been so uncalibrated and missed the boat when it comes to because you talk about, listen, if I got my shit together, somehow people have to see it. How people have missed the boat when it comes to dating apps and come to social media.
Yeah, like the whole problem with the pickup artistry stuff that I never liked is it teaches guys to memorize lines, go up to girls as many times as you can in a day. Don't worry about the rejection. If you get 1 out of 100 that give you a number, then great, good job, buddy. But it doesn't teach you to lose the belly fat, to be more influential, to have a captivating life. That's why most of these PUA guys, they can rack up a bunch of notches, but they don't have women in their frame over a long-term basis. It's maybe like, like a bunch of notches come their way, and then they just kind of go sideways. They never really do anything with themselves. So it's like, to your point, getting out of the mom's basement, sort of stuff. Yeah, that's okay. Well, that's kind of like a basic step. Like, don't live with your parents, have a nice pad, have nice furniture, like the restoration hardware couch behind me. You know what those things cost, right? Like you set yourself up in such a way that you signal to the world that you've got yourself together. And to the point of social media and photography, I mean, if you don't have a captivating Instagram and you're a captivating guy and you're influential and you're doing something with your life, why not? Like, why aren't you documenting parts of your life? Some people say that it's broadcasting, or that it's, you don't feel comfortable doing it because only girls do it. Okay, fine. But if you want women in your life, if you want to be recognized that way, then you're going to have to kind of play that game. It's like, not taking a shower before you go out on a date is optional, but you'll probably do better if you smell good when you go out on the date, sort of thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I think about it. I use the example of scalability, right? You think about a guy back in the 1990s trying to pass his mixtape out to different people out of his trunk,
Yeah.
right? That's as far as he could go until Napster. That's as far as he could go, right? But when you consume this content, we're doing it off YouTube. Any YouTube video has the ability, not necessarily the probability, but the possibility of getting 1 billion views. Infinite numbers of people could watch any of this content. The scalability is there. So you understand that when it comes to business. Why would you not understand that when it comes to dating? And another example, and this one I use, just from the idea of cars. So one guy's got a Shelby Mustang and the other guy's got a, Lamborghini, and they're both leaving the club, right? And let's just say for whatever reason, women recognize the value of the Lamborghini 15% more than the Shelby Mustang. Okay. By the way, Shelby, what's Shelby's first name? I forgot.
Carol Shelby.
Carol Shelby went to my high
Yeah.
school, Woodrow Wilson High School in East Dallas. So when you have that whole thing, the guy with the Lambo, let's say he has a 15% advantage. This is 1985. We're both leaving Studio 54 in New York. The valet pulls up my Lambo. I have a 15% advantage over the guy with the Shelby Mustang. Now let's take that advantage and put it on social media. Now it's 15.15 to the nth power. Does that make sense? And what I felt like social media did is it did not make it easier for men to meet women. It made it easier for the top group of men to meet women. So if you had the abs, you were really stunting on the guys who didn't. And if you had the nice car, you were really stunting on the guys who didn't. And if you had the vacation home in Tulum, you were really stunting on the guys who didn't. And I felt like that's one of the things that people didn't understand. If a woman puts up average social media photos and she's averagely pretty, she is going to get attention on social media. If a guy does it, by definition, she thinks he's a beta. But I just try to explain this because I have some, I hang out with a ton of playmates because I host all these celebrity charity events here, and I'll hang out with them and I'll be like, hey, show me your social media. Let me see what the kind of messages you get. By definition, every one of you who's sliding into their DMs, they assume this is a creepy beta male who is going to throw me into a van. Like that's what they think about
Yeah.
you. You come off as like a fucking zombie, and you have
Unless
to.
you have a blue check mark,
There you go.
that's exactly what they're going to think.
There you and you even brought up the blue check mark. That's the part that's just so crazy. Like, and I understand it's not realistic for all 500 of my clients to have blue check marks. But what is realistic is for you to show access to scarce resources, for you to wear clothes that fit, to have teeth that are straight. What is realistic is for you to have a relevant haircut. I don't know why I have so many clients that want bushy haircuts on the side and then it's like short on the top. I don't know where this shit comes from. And I keep trying to explain to them, like, it's not that you're coming off as attractive or unattractive. You're not even fucking relevant. You come off as like weird, and they don't understand. There is no level of calibration, which is one thing that I really appreciate about your content, about Tristan's content, about Justin's content, is you guys come from a standpoint, while you're teaching this stuff, you also look like guys who would be attractive to women. Tristan with his suits and the cigars or whatever. Justin, I mean, I don't know if you ever met Justin in public, bro. I walk to clubs with Justin, and all the girls just don't pay any attention to any of us. They just stare at Justin because he's this fucking Division I tight end. And like in your situation, I mean, I can't even imagine. You said before you're like 6'2", walking around. You're getting out of the McLaren and being like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And it's just one of these situations where you guys are living the life while you're talking about it. Like there's a level of calibration that goes along with it.
Yeah, like being captivating is one thing, but documenting, your life and interesting things that go on, in your life is important. Like I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of consults, and one of the problems that I run into with older guys is, they've been married for 20 years, they get divorced, they're in their 50s or 60s or whatever. They're still in great shape, they look good, they got loads of cash, they drive nice cars, but they're boring. And they're not thinking along the lines of they need to invite a chick into their life.
Yeah.
They think that they need to enter their frame. They need to, uh, let's be partners, equal partners, like that whole, twin tower sort of thing. And it's like, no, women don't want to invite you into their life. You need to invite them into your life. So when you have a captivating social media presence and you do interesting things with your days or your life, document it. I mean, there's some people with lots of money that have photographers that follow them around. You don't even need that. Most people have a decent camera on their phone. Just learn how to take basic freaking pictures and document it. Because what women are thinking when they see it is like, oh, I would like to be there, insert myself there on the boat or in the supercar or at the dinner or with these people. That's what they're looking at when they see that, right?
I have a buddy of mine. He takes this photo with a drone in the Valley of Fire. He stands on this like cliff, and the drone goes behind him, and he gets this incredible shot. And he does it for a bunch of his clients.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be the supercar. It can you can show access to scarce resources, mountain climbing. There's all these sorts of ways that you can show cool places that you went to go visit. I have 20 IG profiles that are my clients, and I copy and paste whenever anyone asks a question. I copy and paste and send those. I'm like, get as close to this as you can. You don't need an expensive photographer. There's a way to replicate this and to make things work. One thing I want to talk about, we briefly mentioned this before, and it's the concept of men and rejection. I look at rejection as literally the weight that the world provides for me to lift for me to become stronger. And because of that, I feel like normal men, they have to deal with rejection on an everyday basis. For some of us, it beats us down. For me, it's motivation. If you're LeBron James, or if you're incredibly good-looking guy, or if you were born extremely rich, or if you're an extremely attractive woman, I feel like there's this dissonance between your actual value and then what you think your value is, to the point sometimes where it's delusional. And I think that delusion happens because you're not dealing with rejection all the time. But for 99% of men, the world is telling us we can't afford that car. We're not good enough to get that girl. We don't have enough money for this. We don't have the skill set. The world is consistently rejecting us. And so there's two avenues. We take this rejection and use it as motivation, or we take this rejection and then we start saying, fuck all women, fuck the world, and then we start talking about, conspiracy theories. And I was just wondering, like, do you use rejection as, you've mentioned it before in your book, you use rejection as a motivation?
Yeah, I've always said don't lose, learn, right? So, I mean, you can call that rejection, but business transactions, dealing with women, with friendships, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you can sit there and cry like a little bitch, or you can look at the situation and just say, okay, well, that's an interesting lesson that cost me. I've had lessons that have cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? It's like, I don't sit there and cry about it and say, oh, I was rejected, or that cost me too much money, or how am I ever going to make the money back? It's like, okay, that was $100,000 lesson. I'm not going to do that again. And we'll go off in this direction, and I'll never let that happen, sort of thing. Every successful entrepreneur, every successful guy that I know has been ripped off, rejected, hurt, you name it. They're there because they got back up. So it's a matter of, what are you going to do? You're going to lay down like a little bitch and cry, or are you going to get back up and go and do the work, dust yourself off, and then fix things, right?
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, definitely.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.